Ukraine is using drones and taking out more Russian soldiers, which we need to watch out for that because Russia is fighting Ukraine right now, and the war has been going on, if I'm not mistaken, since 2022. Russia, I don't think can afford to lose too many soldiers because they might start losing the war, especially if NATO thinks it's a good idea to take advantage and go ahead and help Ukraine win this war so we can get this war over with by interfering, right? However, something's telling me it's not really a good idea for Ukraine to be taking out these many soldiers just for one reason. Don't know what's going through President Vladimir Putin's head, so I don't think he really want to lose too many troops, even though we know what wars people, you know, countries lose troops, right? But I don't think he want to lose too many troops because he again wants to win the war because he started the war with Ukraine. We all know that. I think there was a situation that people were saying that back in 2020 they was massing troops on the border of Ukraine, but then Russia was saying they was doing exercises. But then look at February 2022. I think that's when the war started. Then it was a full scale invasion, and look, we're in 2026 and the war's still going on. There's been recent peace deals done, if I'm not mistaken, in Miami. Seem like there's no progress with that. Well, not really in Miami. It was somewhere in Florida. I don't want to get the location wrong. However, you don't think Russia is watching this as well, seeing, oh no, we're losing troops, and probably calculating, oh no, Russia, Ukraine's probably have more troops to us, or knows they have more troops to them. And again, NATO might take it as their advantage to, say, hey, let's deploy troops here, and let's take this as the advantage to go ahead and limit the Russians from attacking Ukraine even more. That's just something we all need to watch out about because literally we don't know what's going through Russia's head. They can nuke Ukraine just to get them over with. They can go after or launch a surprise attack on Poland or Lithuania, Estonia, countries in Europe. Some countries in Europe. We have to watch Belarus as well because Belarus might interfere and start sending troops, if they haven't already, into Ukraine because if I'm not mistaken, Russia and Belarus are best buddies. And then we wouldn't rule out China sending more troops because I think there was a situation that China was sending troops to Russia, and North Korea also has been sending troops to Russia as well. So we also have to watch out for those because if Russia start losing soldiers, say, hey, can you send some of your troops over here? It's mainly probably from China because China has a lot of people. See some of your troops over here because I don't have many troops, or we're losing troops quicker, and that might put Ukraine to, if they're using these drones and it's taking out Russian soldiers, probably make Ukraine probably slow down because Ukraine going to need to have these weapons every time Russia does a large scale attack on them. I personally haven't heard too many attacks being done on Ukraine right now, but they could be doing them large scale ones. They're just probably being drowned out by the news with the United States and Venezuela situation, and now Russia and the U.S. situation because of the oil tanker that was seized. So things are just getting crazier. I don't expect things to get any better. So if we keep going at this rate, the United States keep interfering or doing this to certain countries, and then other countries that is best buddies with the country that was just affected feel some type of way. We all know how this goes, and who knows, this could spark World War III. But then it could take years and years and years for World War III to happen. But it's been too much stuff with the United States and Russia going back and forth, constantly saying words to each other, and then saying the best friends, and then it's either made up, it's an inside job, or something just to entertain themselves, not caring about how people feel that's being affected by their action or by other action. But we just know Russia and the United States been having issues for a while, and you only can take so much, and we just keep barking up that tree. Russia keep barking up that tree. Could we do a surprise attack on Russia? Could Russia do a surprise attack on us? Who knows? I'm not talking about attack 100% wise for a missile or a nuclear a nuke being shot over the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean at the United States. I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about more like, terror attack, banks being hacked, gas lines being interfered. We know the United States said that the U.S. will be running Venezuela. Don't know how. Sorry if you guys hear that aircraft. I live in a military town, so it's kind of the normal. But before I was interrupted, or even if we don't get attacked by any of that, we got to think of natural disasters. We all know what happened with the LA fires. Some of those was actually set. Well, a good amount of them was actually set. Some probably was natural, but a good amount of them was set because people wanted to just add fuel to the fire to continue letting it go on. Some of them could have been sleeper cells. I would not put that past, and I'm pretty sure you would not put that past that being the case as well. But we know what happened with Hurricane Helene. The hurricane season back in 2025, I think there was not one landfall. I don't know about the Pacific, the West Coast side, but I know for the East Coast, there was not one landfall. Just been getting like the outer bands. I think North Carolina was getting, if I'm not mistaken, half the most outer bands threats for the hurricanes that came. I can't remember the exact hurricane that was made a Cat 5 and went through Jamaica. Well, the Caribbean. I can't remember what the name was, but we know what happened with Hurricane Helene back in the mountains. I mentioned this in one of my other videos. Back in the mountains of North Carolina, we all heard about what happened there, and that's probably about 6 hours away from me. I live on the coastal part of North Carolina, so we have to be really careful. Anybody that it lives in eastern North Carolina or coastal North Carolina or the Crystal Coast, depending on how you call it, because so many different names, you really gotta be watched out, because we remember Hurricane Florence when she came through back in 2018. A lot of us had to evacuate to Raleigh, North Carolina, for about 7 days, because the city I live in, there was no way in, no way out. Roads was blocked. It was completely underwater. People were being rescued by boats that did not evacuate because our governor gave a mandatory evacuation. And you folks that live down there in Florida, like Miami or anywhere in Florida, Tampa, you guys got to really watch out, because we know Florida is the number one in the U.S. for prone to hurricanes. Then we go up to Georgia, South Carolina, and then North Carolina. Virginia would not rule that out as well. But Florida, y'all really need to watch out. Y'all got lucky this last year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think y'all got hit with a hurricane at all. 2026 might be an interesting year, because we don't know how this summer's going to go. It's like we've been warming up just a bit. A lot of people been warming up just a bit from all this cold, but we don't know what's going on into the Arctic. Another cold blast could come down, which is expected in the coming days. Ice is potential that's been showing up on some of the models. However, it could change, especially ice is showing up for spots that usually don't see winter weather every winter, like parts of Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama. I don't rule that out though, because we know winter weather it can be a surprise, especially for the southern states as well. But I remember a few years ago there was an ice storm that went through Louisiana and Mississippi, and it just caused a lot of issues, like a lot of issues. People didn't have food stores was closing and stuff, because you expect stores and stuff to close, because places that don't see winter weather like that, or it's like very very rare, don't have the really the equipment, the plows and stuff to like move snow, or you know have experience in driving in ice and snow like that, compared to places like Washington State or New York or Pennsylvania, or those states like those. But like places like Florida that had snow last earlier in back in 2025. I think Jackson, Florida had like a little wintry mix, but I don't think it's stuck. But like I think Tallahassee had a good amount of snow, if I'm not mistaken, probably 2 inches at least. Because I know when it came up the coast, came up to North Carolina. North Carolina is not a hard state to get snow. Well, for the mountains, it's not hard to get snow, because they're obviously the mountains of North Carolina higher elevation. But once you start knocking Raleigh, they have a good chance of getting snow. But once you start knocking the Outer Banks and eastern North Carolina, that's where you got the issue. It's not impossible for the snow, but the weather switch is so quick. I guess it's because of the Atlantic. I assume that's the issue. Whatever happens over there, and then like warmer air, but then at times we do get down into single digits. Some winters we can get down to the single digits. Sometimes feel like wind chills can feel like 0 or negative degrees. And then when you throw the wind on top of it, you see where I'm going with that. So you got to really watch out. You got to be prepared for all worst case scenarios, not just from other countries. Natural disasters. We know climate change is really real. Summer seems like it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. Like 100-degree plus weather, feel like temperatures, and causing issues at football games and all the other stuff. People getting heat strokes and stuff like that. So you really just need to be prepared. This is a good time to write out a plan or something like that, especially because we coming into warmer months pretty soon for a lot of people that lives into the southern states like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. Some people consider Virginia the South, and some people don't. So some use North Carolina as the cutoff for the South. Some says Virginia is the cutoff for the South. So it just depends on your viewpoint. Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Oklahoma, y'all need to be prepared for. Oh, and let's not forget California. Not forget the West Coast as well. We need to prepare, because we know states like those get extremely hot in the summer. I'm not saying New York stuff don't get extremely hot in the summer, because we know they do, heat waves and stuff like that. Just you guys know what I'm saying. So with that being said, Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. And I will see you guys in the next video if it's God's will. Stay safe out there. Yep, it's a run day out.